So you're soloing on a tune at the jam session and you're not getting lost in the form, but then your bass player leans over to you and says, "Hey man, you're just playing the melody over and over again." If this is happening to you, it's because you need to develop your own phrasing so that you can play creative solos without relying on the melody. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to do exactly that. So phrasing is how you put your ideas together in musical sentences. It's not what you play, that's kind of licks or musical words. It's how you put them together in a way that makes sense. And as jazz soloists, the way that we put them together in the beginning is by relying on the melody, right? We take the structure of the melody and we kind of embellish it a little bit, and that makes it so that we don't get lost in the form. And that is a really important step. But if you've been doing it for a while, it's going to start to feel boring. It's going to start to feel a bit repetitive, and you want to be more free. You want to be like these drummers like Philly Joe Jones or Bill Stewart or Brian Blade, who can kind of float over the whole form and everything makes sense, but they're not just playing the melody over and over again. So when you get to this stage, what you need to do is build your phrasing muscles. You need to be able to put ideas together in different ways without getting lost, okay? And the way that you do this is by kind of building up these different chunks that you're comfortable with. We need to be able to feel what a 1-bar phrase, a 2-bar phrase, or a 4-bar phrase feels like without even thinking of it, so that we can put ideas together however we want, okay? So we're gonna be using something we call Phrasing Gauntlets. And by the way, if you want the Phrasing Gauntlet handout, there's a link in the description where you can click that and you can download. You'll get it so you can follow along, okay? Now, the first step is 1-bar phrases, okay? We need to feel in our bones without thinking what a 1-bar phrase feels like, okay? So imagine we're playing a tune like Nardis, bum, 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 da, da, right? This is the tempo. Now, a 1-bar phrase at that tempo is gonna sound like this. Right? Or like this, right? Or, okay? You can see I've just played it 3 different ways. It doesn't matter what the lick is. That's vocab. It matters how long the phrase is, okay? So once I can do that, I can play a 1-bar phrase, then I start to stitch them together. Can I play 2 1-bar phrases in a row? Right? And then can I play 4 1-bar phrases in a row? Right? You're seeing, I can feel kind of the rhyme scheme of it. It feels like, and this allows me to relax a little bit because I can feel how long it is. But we need to get a little bit more flexibility, so we're going to go on to 2-bar phrases. So step 2 is 2-bar phrases. Again, we're at this tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. A 2-bar phrase is going to sound like this. Right? Or it'll sound like this. Right? Now, the important thing here is not to play too fancy of ideas, because when you're working on phrasing, you don't want to get overwhelmed with vocabulary. So when my students do this, I often have them leave a little rest at the end of their 2-bar phrase so that they have time to kind of like recover with their brain, okay? So something like this, if I was going to play 2 2-bar phrases back to back, right? You can hear I left a little gap at the end so that I had room to think. And it's also like, it makes it make sense, right? Just like in speech, when you're communicating, if you have a run-on sentence and there's never ever an end and you don't have any commas or spaces, right? It just sounds like a bunch of gobbledygook. But when you pause, it makes it make sense, right? That's why we need periods. That's why we need commas. And music is the exact same way, okay? So with the 2-bar phrases, you know that you have it down when you can feel, again, the rhyme scheme. And you can play it over and over. Now, those are just the building blocks for phrasing, right? If you just play 1-bar phrase, 1-bar phrase, 1-bar phrase over and over again, it's going to sound just as repetitive as when you play the melody. So in a second, we're going to need to take these ideas and combine them in a more fluid and creative way so that it actually sounds really musical. But before we do that, if you're watching all of this and you're like, man, I get this. It totally makes sense. I just want more help with this. I want to go faster with this. I want to make sure somebody's watching me and making sure I'm doing it right. Consider joining the Jazz School. It's a mentorship program where we work on everything that you need to become a complete jazz musician. Things like phrasing, what we're talking about today, so you don't get lost in the form and you can be creative. Things like vocabulary, so that you have really good ideas that come from the jazz greats but sound like you, so you sound authentic whenever you're performing. Tune knowledge, so that you know enough tunes that you can go to jam sessions, and then how to interact with other musicians so that people want to play with you and you get hired for gigs. And we give you all the resources that you need for that, really accelerated trainings that get you to focus on your practice, like exactly what you need to do, as well as feedback every single week from me, keeping an eye on your playing and making sure that you're growing quickly, and then a community of other jazz drummers who are on the same journey that you're on, so it just feels normal. All you have to do is put in the practice and the hard work to become the musician you want to be. If that sounds cool to you, click the link in the description to apply and get more information about joining the Jazz School. And that brings us to step 3. Once you have a 2-bar phrase and a 1-bar phrase, the building blocks really comfortable, you need to learn how to combine them in interesting ways. So if I have my 2-bar phrase, which sounds something like this, and my 1-bar phrase, which is, then I could take a 2-bar phrase and then a 1-bar phrase and a 1-bar phrase, and that makes a longer 4-bar phrase. It sounds something like this. All right, boom. It's got some more interest to it. It's a little more poetic because it's not just the same repetitive thing, okay? I could take the other combination. I could go 1, 1, 2. Let's see what that sounds like. All right, got a little bit of a different cadence. Now let's do the weird one. Let's go 1, 2, 1. Sounds something like this. Right? That one's a little more uncommon. That'll really stretch you. And what this is going to do is it's going to stretch your muscles for phrasing. It's not necessarily that you need to think of a 2-1-1 or a 1-1-2, but when you focus like this, it's just like going under the bench press. When you have some time under tension, it builds the muscles so that later when you go to use the muscles, the weights feel lighter. It's just easy. And that's what we're doing here. Okay. Now we're going to take that even a step further with step 4, which is the phrasing gauntlet. Okay. So the phrasing gauntlet is something I use with my students at the Jazz School to get them to be masters of phrasing. They never get lost in the form and they're really flexible. Okay. And here's the trick. You take a tune like Nardis, right? And you map out the whole form. So Nardis, 32 bars, right? And you map out all the bars. And then you give yourself like a little sort of an obstacle course or a gauntlet, right? Of different phrase lengths, okay? So I'll put it up on the screen. I already made one for this one. And you can see that there's different lengths. So in this one, I've got 1, 1, 1, 1. And then I've got 2, 2, 2, 1, 1. 1, 1, 2, right? 1, 2, 1. And it's just this tricky path of phrasing that I'm going to put myself through and see if I can keep it. Okay. Now, when you first do this, if you've only done like the 4-bar combinations, doing this whole thing might be a bit overwhelming. You might lose track of all of it. So I recommend doing like 8 bars at a time, and then do the next 8 bars, and then do the next 8 bars, do the next 8 bars. And then once you're comfortable with that, do 16 bars, and then do the next 16 bars. Once you're doing that, then, you can try the whole 32-bar thing. For the sake of this video, I'm just going to rip through the whole 32-bar thing so you can hear what it sounds like when you really get this right. Here's the full phrasing gauntlet. Feel free to follow along with your eyes on the screen. See if you can follow my phrasing. So the structure that I'm going to be playing for this phrasing gauntlet is 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, and then I'm going to resolve on beat 1 of the second to last bar. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. That's the phrasing gauntlet. Now, you might be wondering, Jameson, am I supposed to be doing all this math in my head while I'm playing 2, 1, 1, 1, 1? That sounds exhausting. No, you're not. The point of the phrasing gauntlet is to build up the muscle, and that's why step 5 is so important. Step 5 is just play. Don't think about any of this stuff. Don't try to play 2, 1, 1. Don't 1, 1, 1. None of that, okay? Just play. Just try to play a solo and see what comes out. Now, if you really did build up that phrasing muscle, you're just gonna feel it. You're just gonna play 1 bar and 2 bar phrases without even thinking about it, and you're gonna know where you are. You're gonna have command over it, and that's ultimately what's gonna make you the most creative. If you do this, you'll train your muscle memory for phrasing. You'll be able to vary it on the fly so that you can play really interesting solos without even thinking of the melody. If you want to practice this in your own practice time, grab the Phrasing Gauntlet handout, the link in the description, and subscribe to the channel because I'm making more helpful jazz drum lessons like this every single week. See you next time.